Good evening, Blues. We finally have won a game and we scored from open play. 3-2 win against Spurs. As you can tell from my voice and the tone and everything around it, I'm absolutely delighted with Everton's win today. Of course, we want your reaction to the match. It was a bit of a nervy ending, wasn't it? Everton, with three first half goals, put themselves in a really commanding position. And then it was kind of up to us to kind of self-destruct and see if we could create some sort of nervy ending for the fans. I wasn't entirely convinced in the way we ended the game. But certainly Everton were really good for most of that game. And really, this is a great game to kind of celebrate victory with Ret 2 Day. And taking us back through the game is my good friend Corey, who is reacting, and he has a fellow smile on his face. Corey, Everton finally doing the business today, finally got something to celebrate. We don't need to come in and moan and groan too much. Obviously, the nervy ending wasn't great for anyone, but overall, it was a good performance from Everton. A very woeful Spurs, let's be said. They're only sitting a place above Everton. What were your thoughts on the game overall and Everton's performance today?
Brilliant for the neutral. I think right from the off, the energy was fantastic, weren't it? So even for the neutral, it was brilliant. The only people who wouldn't have liked that game would have been Spurs fans because he was so bad. Apart from 2 goals, which we essentially gifted them, they were so bad. But let's talk about Everton. From the off, fantastic. Look, pressing up high to where basically our goals, 2 of our 3 goals came from. High pressing. It was reminiscent of what we've seen from Dyche when he first come in, before he started settling on being so negative. But it's what you expect from David Moyes. When the time comes, he will go for teams and he will press high up. So it's nice to have that energy. But what I noticed even more so was the passing. Again, we built on what we've seen against Peterborough. We built on what we've seen against Villa, although we didn't win. We passed the ball a lot more. We played in between the lines. We broke presses. And that's what gave us our chances. That's what's given, essentially, Ndiaye the space that he had to go on that run and score. Because when he's isolated one-on-one, he beats men easily. He absolutely made light work of Dragusin. Good strength, good skill. But that was made because of the way we were counter-pressing, we played through the lines. I know Peter just said there it wasn't reminiscent of Dyche at all. I just meant in terms of when he first come in, we had that energy where we were pressing teams and we were winning the ball high up. It only took a couple of weeks for us to settle into not playing pressing at all. But let's be honest, when Dyche first come in, we did have that bit of pressing at the start. It just dissipated very, very quickly, but brilliant to see.
100%. I think that the pressing was definitely improved and Moyes now getting a chance to work with the players. It'll be interesting to see if he does manage to bring in any new players. But definitely there's a sense from me today that Everton had a bit of that new manager bounce about them. But they did also capitalise on some really dreadful defending. I mean, I thought West Ham were bad. I think Spurs are next in line to the throne for managerial clear-outs. And I've struggled to get my Spurs fans on. If you are a Spurs fan, please get contact with at fellow Everton. We'll try and get you on. But my Spurs supporters are not keeping a bit silent after the whistle. Of course, if you just joined us, Everton winning 3-2. Dominic Calvert-Lewin made the breakthrough on 13 with a well-taken sort of shimmy in the box. And I went a little bit wild with my 5-year-old. And then, of course, we had the Ndiaye goal where he basically it's absolutely class, really. He picks up the ball sort of halfway line and dribbles in and then cuts inside and sort of flashes the ball really into the net. It's a bit like some Limpar style. And then we had the own goal from Gray, which was a real mess from Spurs' point of view. Archie Gray putting the ball back in his own net. So we go in 3-0. And then, of course, it was a bit of a nervy ending. Kulevetsky chipping over a catalogue of Everton players lined up like cut-out dolls, but not able to keep the ball out of the net, to a furious Pickford who's looking back towards his net. And, of course, Richarlison scoring just really for old time's sake, which did create a bit of tension towards the end. We do have others joining us from Goodison. We have our team out there. I think 3 of our team are joining, and when the right time to do so, we'll be bringing them in. But 39,000 and 326 saw Everton beat Spurs today on Retro Day, and that means that the Toffees have some daylight between themselves and the other games. Obviously, Ipswich playing against City. Going back to the game of itself, Corey, obviously at the start there were a couple of changes. Lindstrom came in. How do you assess his performance?
Think he had a solid game. We know he's not good defensively, but he still brings energy, and I think that's all Moyes will ask for, is him coming back and trying that. But going forward, he's brilliant. Involved in 2 of the goals. The first goal, he gets the ball out. Nice bit of technique to bring it in. That's when it's just a kind of game plays the ball forward, so he's involved there. Also involved with the third goal as well. Again, he took the corner, it comes back out. He's the one who plays that ball to the back post, picks out Tarkowski. So that's a well-picked pass. He does sometimes fail to beat the first man on his set pieces, but he also put a good ball in for Calvert-Lewin, so he's getting better. He does a lot more than Jack Harrison does going forward. He's a bit more dynamic, I think. Although he's not rapid, he's got that turn of pace, which at least allows him to get the ball out of his feet to whip a ball in. So I'm happy. I'm happy he is, and I think he's had a good performance, and he's gained himself a start in the next match against Brighton.
He did manage to exploit some of the space that Spurs were leaving in behind, and obviously their defensive frailties could be picked upon in this reaction, but we're not going to go there. I put the sides up there, and of course their 3 at the back just didn't work, but they just didn't really keep pace with that press from Everton. They probably didn't expect it. I mean, I don't think anyone did. I certainly didn't think we were going to score 3 open play goals, 3 goals of any description, to be honest. I don't care whether they go in off the back toe. But of course, you did pick up there on the performance of Lindstrom, and I think fans have been on the back of Harrison, and it was probably about time to make the change, of course, with us playing in the week. And this probably illustrates the fact that Villa are a much stronger side than Spurs at the moment. They do face each other in the FA Cup, of course. But it does illustrate that Villa are a good side, and they went to Arsenal yesterday and got a point there as well. So maybe we had a tough game in midweek, and this is kind of the sort of performance we were expecting, but we just came against a good side. This one today, he also took out Young, another player where I think fans have been on his back a little bit, but he'd done well in some games, but was playing really with a team full of, well, lack of confidence, if you could put it that way. Everton's midfield that have kind of been really quite static for most of the season suddenly came to light today, Corey, and there was just a lot more sharpness about the passing. It seemed like obviously we had more space. How much of that was good Everton play, and how much of it was Spurs just not closing us down and giving us maybe too much time on the ball?
It's a little bit of both. Obviously, if you look at the Spurs team, it's a team decimated through injury. There's a lot of inexperience. Archie Gray, I think, is going to be an exceptional talent, but he's certainly not a right back. Well, he's certainly not a right-sided centre back. Sorry. Jed Spence on the left. So Sarr and Bergville in the middle. They're also fairly inexperienced. Bergville's very young. Sarr's still not had ridiculous, amazing run-outs. So they are high intensity, but they're a bit inexperienced, and that way we got a little bit more space. But let's give it to the lads. Let's give it to the manager, because the way they've played has been fantastic. We know Branthwaite can pick a pass. I would like to wax lyrical about O'Brien. I know he's got a good bit of pace behind him, which is why he played the right back role, but that lad has got a cultured right foot. He played 3 or 4 different passes in that game. Some round the corner with a fantastic bit of curve on it into the channel. And then a couple of times where there's a couple of short passes where he found his man in between 2. So he's got a nice acute pass in him, does Jake O'Brien. He's a very cultured defender, and I can see us playing a very different style of football if he ever takes over Tarkowski. And if not, I can see him being a very proficient replacement for Branthwaite when he eventually leaves us for elite football.
That's right, Corey. And I think that there's an element where maybe they expected or they anticipated that if Branthwaite went in the period, or it's, I think he would have gone in the summer if he was going, then we had the strength and depth to cope with that. But yeah, you did pick up on the fact it was Jacob Bryan's first start, and obviously we did switch the format. I'm going to come back to the team, the performances, and of course we're going through your comments. Do keep them coming in and make sure you tell everyone we are pushing our subscribers, and that means we can come up more in the search listings on YouTube and so on. But I'm now going to cross over to one of our two team members who are just coming out of Goodison. Let's see if we can get in. If we can get in, channel founder and my good brother Ryan. Ryan, can we? We got a good signal with you at the moment. Can we?
Yes. And you can see I'm dressed for Tottenham Hotspur's funeral.
Yeah, I think that it might well be, maybe 2 saving goals. The fact that it was a respectable scoreline might well change that. I think Ryan's just dropped out. His signal's not amazing at the moment. We could wait for him and see.
Sorry.
Okay, it's fine. If you drop out again, we'll bring in Mabsy, and then we'll switch you out. The signal's not amazing. Great to see a smile on your face.
Is Andy there? Is he?
He is.
The traffic's really bad around Goodison, so I'm just sat in the car. But if you want to bring me in later, that's fine. I'll get moving.
We can hear you fine, and I think the raw comments are really important. I mean, coming out of Goodison, it was a bit of a nervy ending, but really we did the business for much of the game. It wasn't surprising at all that it ended in the way it did, given the earlier performances and the way we've been, and the fragility of the side in general. But overall, you happy with the way you played today?
First of all, congratulations, Corey, on your great news. I am happy. I think it was a game of 2 halves. I thought Everton were far superior than Tottenham in the first half. I'm a little bit disappointed that we kind of dropped off in the second. I don't know whether that was just like we can't be asked because we're 3-0 up, because there shouldn't be any level of complacency. But Tottenham brought on their only recognised centre-back and brought on Richarlison, and that gave Tarkowski, who was brilliant in defence and who had a free rein to kind of intercept and step up and go out wide and win the ball. It gave him something to think about to pin him back. So it made it more difficult for us. But I still think when Tottenham brought off their only centre-back, that we should have gone for the 4th and 5th goal. Listen, this is being hyper negative. I can also say I did not like the last 10 minutes. The Keane substitution was a bizarre one for me. Patterson showed yet again he can't defend one we've on. And there is too many balls being allowed into the box, into dangerous areas. They shouldn't have scored those 2 goals. What, Pickford, what are you doing? And Mikolenko, or whoever's meant to be on the left. Mate, it's unacceptable. But 3 points is all you need. The performances are much better. And we all go away from that happy.
We did the business, of course, mostly in the first half, and inspired goals from Calvert-Lewin. Really in the first half, set Everton on their way, and kind of was much dictating the tempo were how the first 15-minute goes. Corey picked up on Everton's press, and the news, of course, is that Corey is now engaged, and of course that means that there will be another wedding on the way at some point, and another suffering wife to follow Everton. So many congratulations, of course, to you, Corey.
But yeah, Ryan, thanks everyone in the comments as well.
That's all right. My wife was out. She went shopping this afternoon because I think let's be honest with you. You can never back on Everton winning a game, getting a draw or anything. But going into this game, open play goals were something of a mystery, and then we found 3. What was the difference today? Was it bad Spurs, right, or was it kind of Everton just finding a gear and the new manager bounce and it just sort of gelling all of a sudden?
Yeah, I will let Mabsy come in after this question, and then I'll jump back on later. To answer that, I think Spurs were vulnerable because what we were very good at was robbing the ball off them high up the pitch when they were out of position or out of shape. And they found it very disruptive. We also played very, very good long balls, and we were very clever in Calvert-Lewin ghosting behind and around the Spurs defenders, and they didn't know which one was meant to pick him up. He had a few opportunities. Calvert-Lewin should have had a few goals, in my opinion, today. But Tottenham
6 shots, actually, which was the joint best this season for him.
He should have scored more goals. Should have scored more. Spurs were poor defensively, but Everton also pressed, won the ball higher at the pitch, and asked good questions, got the ball into the box, into dangerous areas, and we got our rewards for that. Now, swap me out.
Yeah, so thanks, Ryan. Really good to get
Thanks,
your
Stu.
reaction straight from Goodison Park. Rye there, of course, driving so that we can keep ourselves above board and keep our driving licenses. I'm going to let him go. But Mabsy, I don't know whether you can hear us now. Also watching the game from the park end. You there, Mabsy?
I am in love. I can't deny. Our number 10 is Element and I. Honestly, you know what? I think it's absolute stat change from. As I said, I had an argument with Ryan, and I said first 20 minutes of the Villa game we were quite good, and then we went back to old ways. You know what? This club does my head in I hate it because at the moment you think you're done with this club, they bring you back in. Honestly, today the atmosphere at Goodison was rocking. You know, everyone was buzzing. You know, and yeah, Calvert-Lewin scored and made up for him. Hopefully, you know, try and bring his confidence up, and just the whole team really. O'Brien, I thought, had a cracking game, if I'm honest, and he looked pretty pissed off that he was subbed when he was coming round, because everyone was clapping him and he was just like quite hard. He was fuming. He had a good game. Yeah, I don't think Moy should have shut up shop personally, but you know, I'm not the manager. It worked.
Do you think that did play into the fact that we ended up finishing the game 3-2, looking at the seconds ticking down and waiting for us to get a foul? Do you think that was all because Moyes made defensive substitutions and tried to kind of consolidate the game?
Yeah, totally. We were on the top foot. I don't understand why you would go that defensive. I mean, as I say, you know, he's the manager. Game plan worked, but that last 10 minutes, oh my God, that was horrible. I've also got to give credit to Richarlison. At the end of the day, yeah, he scored. Didn't celebrate, just moved on, back up the pitch. You know what I mean? So all credit to Richarlison. I've got to have it.
He might have been injured. He did get a very good reception when he came on, and you know, they say never go back, but I think he's one player where I think everyone would welcome him back, and I think
without a shadow, Steve. At the end of the day,
I think he would slot nicely into Everton's side. I think it's great to hear from the team, yourself and Ryan, where everything's been a bit miserable, and then we've had to kind of endure this period of suffering for a long time. And you know, it's only one win, but it felt like we turned the corner today. There's so much more positive stuff. Obviously, Ndai's goal was just an absolute class act. What was it like being in the park end for those two goals?
Honestly, the 3 goals was the own goal as well.
Yeah, of course, their own goal, but the 2 goals that we
at the end of the day, it was like Calvert-Lewin scoring in 10, 15 minutes, was it? 17?
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes.
I don't know.
Signal's not amazing. I'm just going to take Mabsy out there just for a little bit of time, and then I'll bring him back in when he confirms that signal and is less patchy. But Corey, obviously, when you're at the game, emotions run high, and we've both been there, and unfortunately didn't get to it today. I think Basil, Ryan, Mabsy, all at the game, and 39,000 or so others, including a few travelling Spurs fans who will be going back thinking that their manager's probably on the brink. But comments coming in galore saying that generally they're happy with the performance of Lindstrom. Let's just talk about that first half while we get a second to breathe. I mean, it started so positively. And you know, you had that sense there were just so many chances. I mean, I've got pages of notes, but basically, let's talk about the Calvert-Lewin goal. It really was an individual goal, twisting and turning. It's not something we've seen him do. Where did it come from?
Bit of confidence. I think the first couple of minutes, they had Spurs had a bit of the ball, didn't he? But then after that, Calvert-Lewin was winning a lot more headers. He's struggled recently to win aerial balls as well when we've just been lofting it up to him. I think he's aided by probably just a new lease of life anyway. He looked sharper against Villa in general play, but his finishing was terrible. His finishing was dross. So maybe he's just feeling a little bit more confidence. He's gone up against, obviously, a makeshift back 3, including one lad who's not actually a centre-back. So he's going to be winning them headers a lot easier. And he was just playing on that. His movement was a lot better. And I think he just had a bit of confidence. I'm as surprised as anyone because he scores tap-ins, doesn't he, Calvert? When he doesn't score, he doesn't do anything like that where he's got that trickery. It was like something Njai would do. So I just think he had a lot of confidence there, new lease of life, and I think he's just gone for it, head down, put the ball in the back of the net, and that kick started it, didn't it? He was brilliant for the game. A couple of wasted chances, he should have scored more, but his overall play was fantastic. Knocking the ball around the corner, the pass through to the corner with the outside of his foot. We had an excellent game.
We just haven't seen that that sort of goal from Everton for such a long time. I mean, please put in the comments if you can remember the last one. Twisting and turning in the box and slotting it past the keeper. I mean, obviously Spurs, it's poor defensively to allow a player who's low confidence, side that are poor to do that. But that sort of set the tone and was the catalyst for Everton's ability to go on and drive that game forward, really looking like the only side that would win the game. Atalanta, I'm surprised actually that we didn't add to the 3 goals, but there were other chances, as you pointed out. Calvert-Lewin did secure man of the match. He had 6 shots, but he could have easily got 2 or more goals in this game. And the second chance came when he was through on goal. Another one, I mean, absolute mess from Spurs to allow him to get through, and it sort of comes off his knee. It was kind of a wasted chance from my point of view, because I think somebody who's on top form just touches that on and puts it in the net. I mean, he was yards clear of the Spurs defense.
Yeah, we've seen it plenty of times when he's had the ball and he just takes one touch too many, takes too long. I actually think this time, whereas usually it's indecision, I think he got too excited. He scored one, he sees the goal ahead of him, and like you said, the first touch is okay, a little bit behind him. And then he just sticks his foot out too much. It's a heavy touch. And from that point, he's always second best going towards it. The man at the back, the goalkeeper, he come out, he collected it fairly well. He had something very, very similar in the second half as well, towards the 60th, 70th minute.
It's a while since we've had a striker that would back on a one-on-one situation time after time, maybe Lukaku. But I think, it is what it is. And Calvert-Lewin isn't that sort of striker. He doesn't go in behind and usually round the keeper and things like that. He's more of a kind of a physical box striker, more in the mold of Big Dunk. And I think it probably didn't suit him, that chance. And he did well to beat the offside trap and obviously get himself in that position. But you just think at that point, you need to take your chances. We haven't done it. Then there was another one that hit the post. As I said, I've got reams of notes from the game. But let's talk about the goal from Illiman, because I think he picks the ball up. He gets the ball near the halfway line. Do you want to just talk me through the goal?
Yeah, we'll rewind it back a little bit because it was a long passage of play. Starts off with Pickford, Branthwaite, O'Brien, Tarkovsky, all passing the ball around. And there was a couple of passes where I was nervous to do that thing where they pass it to a point where the opposition team almost get the ball, but it just evades them. Now, when it doesn't pay off, you're in trouble. But the best teams in the world have done this. Busquets, Xavi and Iniesta, Messi and that Barcelona team. I'm not comparing them to them, by the way. I'm just giving something to compare to. They would pass the ball like that, and what it does is it draws the opposition who are pressing you to go for that ball. And if they just miss it, they're out of position then. So we've been patient. We've drawn them out. We've drawn their press. We've played through that press. Some lovely passes, a nice ball forward between the lines from Idrissa Gana Gueye. Iliman Ndiaye then gets that ball, runs a goal. He's got all the space to his left-hand side. Nice little step over. He has the strength as well, brilliant strength to shrug off Dragusin, who's no slouch, and then just rockets it with his left foot.
It's a really brilliant finish and great analysis. You've got to say that the guy didn't look like a guy who was playing in a side where the confidence is this low. Illiman's finish was just awesome. As I said, it was like a Limpar type run and finish, and it was just something that almost felt like out the blue. But the guy's been playing so well in a side that just have been awful. Great analysis with the way that Everton built up to that goal, because I think that that's what allowed us to create the space in there, and Spurs getting caught out because of the press. Obviously, when you've not got confidence, you're not hitting the ball in the net. and you're not picking up points, it's very difficult to start playing out from the back. But, you know, there's an element where the fear factor has to just go at some point, because the way we were playing is just like to not lose and to draw 0-0 almost. And that you just can't keep doing that when it's not working. Today,
Yeah.
Everton, offensively, they had, you know, as many shots as an action thriller. It was really good to watch. It was a nice game for the neutral. It was a better game for us. It's never completely safe. But of course, that second goal did give us a bit of a cushion. You still feel like we're not safe at 2-0, don't you?
Oh, 3-0. I mean, do you remember the Brighton game when we were 5-1 up? I still didn't feel safe then. And that's just what we've been through as Everton fans.
Well.
But what I would say is we've been fooled, or we've been gaslighted as a fan base into thinking, and other fan bases about Everton into thinking, that we don't have the players to play football. The amount of people you see online who say the reason Dyche has played like he has, the tactics he's played, is because Everton players can't play football. It's just a kind of guy's getting on, but he's played for PSG. Mangala, we've seen, can play between the lines. Branthwaite can play. Looks like O'Brien's got a pass. So is Pickford. So we've shown with that goal today, and to an extent the other two goals as well, but especially that second goal, that we can play between the lines. We can pass the ball. We can break presses, and it's amazing what can happen when, as a team, you actually have tactics that allow you to do that, instead of just playing hoofball to a team that knows that they just need to stand you up and do nothing with it.
There are certain games when you just sense that you know, you're on the game, and there hasn't been too much of that for a number of seasons. But this game, it almost seemed like when Everton crossed the white line, Corey, that things were going to stick, that even slightly wide, larger passes, you know, from defenders to the other side of the pitch, were finding the feet. The passing was crisper. And I think that was a good recipe to building confidence. Confidence is a very big factor in football. They've clearly got ability, but we've just not been able to really take it forward. And of course, you just get that sense of every time you're going on the pitch, if you're not going to score, you feel like you're not going to score again. How much of this performance is going to change the rest of the season, do you feel?
Well, hopefully it changes it massively, because it gives the players confidence, because you did say confidence is important, and the way confidence is important, it's marginal gains in football. It is literally small percentages that make a massive difference. You'll see players that go to clubs where they've excelled and done terrible because they just can't get the rub of the green. Goal scorers, if you're confident, you're a bit more assured with your strike, which means you score goals better, or you've got that extra 2% that helps you win the 50-50s or win headers. It's a major issue with Michael Keane, because I think his play, no matter how good he is, he's always looked nervous, and I think that gives the opponent the extra 2%, which means that they're always going to beat him, because he never looks confident, and it just doesn't give you that follow through and that belief that you're going to win the ball, so you actually do. So hopefully the rest of the team starts feeling like this, and we start picking up results. We've got the defence to do well. We've got a very strong defence. We've got 3 solid centre-backs there, as we can see. We've got a right-sided Julian Lescott and Jake O'Brien, it looks like, as well, which is good to see. So let's build on it. Hopefully we can build on it going forward. Just no silly goals given away at the end of the game. Like many people, I was panicking. I had visions of Bournemouth. The sweats were happening. But I think that was concentration more than playing poorly. They did come on to us after we made the defensive substitutions, but I think it's the first time in ages we've been 3-0 up and we were cruising. Yeah. So I think the heads have just kind of gone a little bit. They got too excited. Hopefully that's Pickford's like by yearly head falling off that he has, and it's happened with a win. Hopefully from now on he starts keeping more and more clean sheets and helps us get out of this relegation trouble that we're facing, albeit more distantly now.
Yeah, Pickford obviously was really disappointed looking back. If you just joined us, maybe you come off the motorway or something like that, or just arrived back at home, put the kettle on. Everton obviously winning 3-2, which is why we're smiling. Go back to the beginning and you'll see our reaction from the start. But make sure indeed that you do follow us on YouTube. Just hit the like button. That helps us come up as many times as possible. And of course, we go live, win, lose or draw, but there's been a lot of losses and this is a win. So let's revel in that. And of course, just before half time, Everton, Corey, managed to secure the third goal, but it really wasn't them that put the ball in the back of the net. How much of Tarkowski and Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a big hand in that goal?
Yeah. Was that the third goal? Sorry.
Yeah, it was Archie Gray. It was the third goal, also at the park end.
Again,
just before half-time, Tarkowski heads the ball back in, and then Calvert-Lewin sort of flicks it on, and then, of course, Gray puts it in his own net.
Yeah, it is a mistake in Spurs at odds and evens, you know what I mean? But the football was still good. Like I said, Lindstrom's ball to the back post was decent. He's picked them out. Tarkowski doing what we've seen him do plenty of times, ball across. And although he doesn't get a full touch on it, Calvert-Lewin's still in the right place. That's where we expect him to do his best work. He throws his head at it, gets a touch. It's knocked in by Archie Gray. Obviously, we have the man at the back post as well that's putting the pressure on. If Archie Gray doesn't clear that, there's every chance that the man at the back post scores. But he's had to do what he's had to do. He's got unfortunate and it's gone at the back of the net. We'll take it because that was the winning goal at the end of the day. Thanks, kid.
It was, and we didn't think it at the time. A winning goal was a known goal, but that's just how it ended. Of course, in the first half, Everton went in with a 3-0 lead. They could have had others, but so could Spurs. They had chances through Son. He was actually denied twice by Pickford in the first half and should have probably done better, to be fair. Spurs, a bit wasteful, but the game felt like really quite end-to-end at the beginning. It was probably quite exciting from a neutral point of view, but I haven't seen a game that open at Goodison, or exciting even, for a little while. Everton then, in the second half, came out slightly different. Obviously, you do end up having these games where the second half just almost is a misfit to the first, and that felt very much like this, with Everton making substitutions. And then Spurs, of course, it was a bit of a non-event for most of it, apart from a Calvert-Lewin chance where it was another self-destruct from Spurs, and Calvert-Lewin finds himself in the box, turns and sort of hits towards goal, but I don't think he knew where the target was, and it goes wide on the left-hand side. But maybe on another day, that would have gone on target. But other than that, I think it really was about Everton, whether they would self-destruct, and yes, we did. Not to the point of Bournemouth or any other similar game, but this was a nervy ending to the game. It was done because of this Pickford mistake, and then, as I said, Everton lined up, just not able to kind of flick the ball out with their head or anything, because he'd come out. To be honest, if you look at it from their point of view, it was actually a good finish. It was a lofted finish over the heads of the Everton defenders from Kulusevski, and I think 13 minutes was still on the clock, plus obviously the 4 minutes added. So there was time enough for Spurs to get back into that game, and they did through Richarlison, of course, at 3-2. That was really when I started to get panic stations. It looked like Richie did get injured towards the end, but then he came back, didn't celebrate, but it meant for a nervy finish. Corey, do you want to just talk me through the sequence where Spurs ended up going 3-2 up, and how you felt at that point?
Yeah, so obviously going with the first goal. Look, it's a routine ball down the corner. Pickford should stand him up better than he does. He's rushed out there. He's got excited. Again, hopefully that's that out of his system. He does that twice a year. If that's happened towards the back end on the second half of the season, hopefully he has no more now. So we'll take that as part of a win. But he's at fault there. He's run out. He's done well, to be fair, to not get beat by Maddison after he's rushed out and got caught and sent back. We didn't deal with the ball in. We've got 3 centre-backs there. I think O'Brien's not in the best of positions. He probably should do better, but it's on Pickford. It's also a very, very good finish from Kulusevski. He's been one of the few shining lights in the Spurs team. He's very consistent. He's a very, very good winger. I think he's very, very underrated as well. As soon as it happened, like you said, it was very much squeaky bum time. I could see them getting at least another goal. Definitely, I think that was guaranteed. Knowing our past, I think the players started to get nervy. I will say as well, a big shout out to the fans at Goodison Park today, because you could hear them get nervous at times. Like Chris Smith said, the flashbacks to Bournemouth game. They were nervy at first at times, but even when they went to 3-2 and 3-1 as well, the fans were singing. They were still getting behind the team. I don't know if that would have happened under Dyche, because the fans would have just been too broken, too beaten down. But the fans were really getting behind the team and not getting nervy like what can happen at Goodison Park, because we've been stung so many times. So really big kudos to the fans for that. I think they really helped.
You could
3-2.
definitely pick up on the fans, Corey, from, I watched it on Sky Sports, and you could definitely pick up on the fans in that game throughout, really. The sense that they were getting behind both Moyes and Deside. I remember Illiman was also rallying the fans on after he'd scored, and rightly so. Sometimes it's like a library in there, and you can feel the groans and anxiety. But yeah, you did pick up on the fact that the atmosphere did come across as being good. And then, of course, we did end up, just seeing out the game. But you just feel like on another day, Everton, I felt like the only team that could have stopped us from winning were ourselves today, because Spurs were that bad. That's why I'm not getting too carried away with this, because I don't think we're going to come against a team as poor as them, with the injuries they have, the shape they have, their lack of confidence and their ability. Spurs are just now one place above Everton. So surely their manager has to go very soon. I'll be trying to get some comments. Everton, this is where we are now. The win really just keeps us where we are in placement terms, but gives us a little bit of room above Wolves. Now, there's not a huge gap, of course, because we have been slipping really quite rapidly through the last few games where we've not picked up any wins. Ipswich play City at the moment. Get a score update in a minute, of course, on that game. But I think the thing here is that this is definitely a relegation battle for us, no matter which way you look at it. Moyes doesn't want a relegation battle. Still 0-0, by the way, at Ipswich, Portman Road. Ipswich 0, City 0, 19 minutes gone. In other games, of course, Forest beat Southampton, which was a good result for us, although probably left the Forest feeling a bit nervous towards the end. 3-2 it finished. Southampton, one of those sides that you just feel that are nailed on for relegation, just unable to find a way forward, which means that really it's 2 from 4 with us, Wolves, Ipswich and Leicester in the mix. Do you see it any different, Corey?
No. I can't see Spurs getting dragged into it. I actually can't see them getting rid of Postecoglou just yet. I think he survives for another couple of weeks while he's still got injury issues. They are decimated. I know their form looks absolutely terrible, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes, but I think they keep hold of him for at least another couple of weeks. But yeah, look, that bottom 4 or 4 of the bottom 5, 16th to 19th, that's who is very much in the relegation fight. I see Leicester going down. They've got, is it 7 or 8 defeats on the bounce they've had now? So that is, you can see there's 5 there. There's another 1 or 2 they've had as well.
Van Nistelrooy, they could do with him up front, couldn't they? Since he's come in, they've done nothing. So perhaps they should have kept with. I know they weren't very big fans of their original boss, but yeah, the grass is not always greener. We play Leicester very soon, don't we? I think we got Brighton next week,
and then Leicester afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, so that Leicester game, 6-point match, and there are other games, but that Brighton game is looking tough. But we'll be previewing it, of course, here on Follow Everton. And if you've just joined us, Everton winning 3-1, of course. Hopefully you've either been at the game, you're watching, or been watching on Sky. Everton with 35% possession today. Spurs dominating the ball, but looking appalling at the same time. I don't know how that's actually possible, but Everton probably could have gone on. If they really needed to score more in the second half, I felt like we would have. But today, unfortunately, we didn't really put much daylight with our goal difference. It still remains there at -10, the same as Spurs. Well, sorry, it's not the same as Spurs. Spurs are +10, but slightly better than the other side in the relegation battle. But we've just not been scoring goals. How much of today's impact will have on the rest of the season kind of remains to be seen somewhat, but definitely a positive day for the Blues. And do keep the comments rolling. We do have a lot of people who are saying that Calvert-Lewin had a great game. He got player of the match today from Jamie Carragher. And it was a close call between him and Illiman and Dye, who yet again was an outstanding performer. Going back to the team, did you see any weaknesses in amongst the performances today?
I think Pickford didn't have his best game. I think he was relatively unfazed. I think kicking, by the way, was fantastic. His footwork was brilliant today. But he did have that moment of madness. He wasn't great for the second goal as well. We've already touched on that. Mikalenko was probably one of the weaker of the players as well. I don't think he had a terrible game, but he wasn't exactly spectacular. I think he got put on his backside once or twice. But we are seeing a better, more progressive Mikalenko as well. So hopefully he gets better there. The one I'd most likely want, I mainly want to talk about is Decore. There's a lot of people in the comments discussing Decore. Look, technically he's not good enough. Sorry. Multiple times today where we've had the ball on the break and he's completely slowed the game down because technically he's not good enough. His touch is always either heavy or behind him. He can't pass the ball forward. He's got no agility. So a lot of our attacks today have been stopped because of Decore. But what I would say today as well, especially in that first half, he provided a lot of the energy, a lot of the pressing come from him on the front foot. And that's why he's got in the team, because that's what he provides, especially in that number 10 role. He allows us to win the ball high up the pitch. So, again, we've seen the best and the worst of Decore today, because he was absolutely dross going forward at times, but his energy, attacking from the defending from the front, was very, very good. What we need to think about really is when McNeil comes back, can he provide that energy but still has the technical ability? Or in this transfer window, can we get a number 10? Because surely there's a number 10 who's as technical as Njai, but presses really well. I mean, Njai presses well anyway, just not to the extent that Decore does. Because if Decore doesn't press or we sit deep, then Decore is completely useless. He's worked out today, but there's got to be a number 10 out there that will harry and harass teams, and they've got a lot of energy. They've got an engine, but they've actually got something about them technically. Even if they're better than a 7.5 or better than a 6.5 every day, technically, then they're going to be miles better than Decore, because technically he's a 3 or a 4 energy-wise today at least. He was an 8 or a 9.
And for me, I think Decore's improved in the last 2 games, but he's been on a little bit of a very poor run, to put it mildly, and just not really at the pace. And I think McNeil's a different prospect to him, a different player, of course. He'll need a little bit of time to get back up to speed after quite a lengthy layoff. But I mean, he was one of our, if not our best player last season. He probably comes in for me, and it's a different mold of a player, but I think he started seeing as somebody who can shoot from distance and is attacking threat. It'll be interesting to see him alongside maybe Lindstrom and Die as well, because I don't think we've seen those two together.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of calls obviously for Garner and Eric Bonen when they're fit, but they're more central midfielders. They play deeper, so they're not number 10s. McNeil's probably the most obvious one that we've got in the side. I do think we need a number 10, because McNeil's much better than Decore, at least on 1 foot he is. And he does put some shift in, but we've seen that he got the vast majority of our goals before he got injured, but we were getting overrun in midfield all the time because he doesn't provide that number. He's so easily bypassed in the centre of midfield. So I think we really need a number 10, someone who's going to put a big shift in, but also can attack. Tim Cahill was that guy, more with his shooting than his passing. Fellaini put a shift in. He was physical. He was very technical, and he ended up getting pushed to just behind the striker role as well under Moyes. So hopefully we can find someone who can really do that. I think Joe Bellingham at Sunderland, I don't think he's going to us. He'll go to potentially a Europa League team and work his way in from there. But he's someone who can play central midfield and centre attack like Decore does. But he technically is fantastic. He's not his brother, but technically he's fantastic. So I'd love for us to go in for someone like him. There's a young lad called Kamara. I think it's at Strasbourg in Ligue 1 in France. He's very much got all the attributes that Decore has. His energy, if you look at his numbers. But he's actually very creative as well. He's got the technical ability. So they're 2 players I'd like us to be interested in and to go forward in that number 10, number 8 hybrid role that we have Decore in.
Yeah, interesting thoughts. And of course, we'll pick through that. With Moyes obviously being the only thing we've not really discussed in any detail, it's only his second game and he's only had not even a week really to get the players formatted. Do you think he's still assessing players? And how much in the last 2 games can we read into the likely future. He's talking about bringing in the right players. This is what he said. I haven't managed to get hold of his post-match conference yet, but he was talking about bringing in the right players. He looked like he was shouting, and part of the game, he was really, you could see he was like almost a professional fan on the touchline today. He was like, he sees Everton as his home. It feels the right fit. Obviously, there'll be fans that aren't quite happy. They were singing his name today. He was definitely, all his expressions were very much aligned with fans. But how much of his kind of how much can he change, and how much have you seen change in the last 2 games?
I've seen a massive change. Obviously, like I said, we're passing the ball between the lines. We're trying to break presses. We're still willing to go long when need be. But we're already playing a lot more progressive than we did under Deitch. And Moyes isn't necessarily a progressive manager. He's just playing the bare necessities of what you get at Premier League level, because he is a good coach. He is more pragmatic, as you can see by the lack of possession that we have. But at least when we're attacking now, we've got some shape, we've got some movement, and we're like I said, we're countering the press. So I'm seeing that a lot more. The difference in terms of the amount of long balls and the chances we're creating. We are going to come across teams that are much better defensively, but even against Villa, again, they've got a decent team. They've got a decent defense as well. So we showed signs against them, and he was still bedding the team in. I think we'll still see a couple of changes over the next couple of weeks. I think it was a smart move to bring Jacob Breen in at right back, even though he's a big centre back again. Shades of Julian Lescott on the opposite side of the back four. So yeah, I think we'll see a couple of changes still going forward. I can still see Beto getting a run. I can't see Harrison coming in too much now. He got his run out. So yeah, look, I can see changes. I can see Patterson coming in and out as well. So I can still see him maybe tinkering with the side, wanting to see what he can get from him. Patterson looked positive, so I do want to see him come in. I want to see what he can offer.
Yeah, of course. If you're watching this really from Spurs' point of view, you'd think this is a massively disappointing match because they were all over the place, and I think we need to probably take this victory and move to the next game, where I think we've got a bloody hell of a game against Brighton, and that'll be the real test for us to see how much we're going to come on. But it gives us another week to prepare. Well, just under 6 days, I think. And Moyes getting a chance to assess the squad. He doesn't want to bring in any player, which is probably the right thing to do. Might unsettle the side. But of course, there is a chance that he could bring in, and he has illustrated in the past, ability to bring through players that have players like Cahill. There's so many of them, but that have ended up being just brilliant players for Everton. So as we kind of move forward now, it's a great chance to kind of celebrate the rest of this weekend. And I think there's some fans that want to go and watch City to see if they can put some past it, which we could definitely do with some goals there. Although it wouldn't surprise me at all if City drop points again. They are really flagging when it comes to their play at the moment, aging squad, and obviously they've got their own problems. But it's been an interesting weekend of football. Everton obviously finishing strong here for us, and that's something that we should all go and celebrate. So I think we're going to wrap up now. Corey, just any closing comments? I think Jazz just said City have scored, so that's good. 2-0, says Danny. So that must have happened quite quickly in quick succession. And you would have expected this as a given. You would expect maybe like 6-7 goals against Ipswich last season, but obviously this season none. Closing comments on Everton's win today?
Just repeat Amanda Stevens. Shock to the system. 3 well-earned points. Hope it's a corner turned. We never feel safe as it's Everton. I think she's completely summed up how myself and most Evertonians feel. 2 more things. There's only going to be one happy Spurs player in the world in that team, and that's Richarlison. I'm sure he'll be buzzing. The only person happy with the 3-2 loss. And yeah, look, it's been what an end to what's been a very stressful and a fantastic week for me.
Yeah, 100%. Congratulations again, Corey, in getting engaged this week and finally popping a question, something I knew about but didn't let on. And then, of course, she said yes, which is the best news of all, really. And then this victory has added the icing on the cake. So we're absolutely made up for you, lad. And of course, we will be here previewing Everton's trip to Brighton. The Amex Stadium is not the easiest place to go, and it proved that way in recent seasons. It will be cold, but down on the south coast, we'll make sure that live reaction is available. I think we might have one of our team going to the game. If you're going to the game or you're watching some other way, please make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, and give us your comments before and after. Of course, we will be previewing the game most likely on Thursday night, and of course, reaction to that match straight after the whistle. And I do hope, Corey, that this is one where Everton can build the momentum and Kate maybe take forward this win and start to put together a decent run after what has been an abysmal time and a challenging start to the season. Of course, our cup game now is also confirmed. It's going to be on Saturday, the 8th of February, and that's home against Bournemouth. And I think tickets are either going on sale in the next couple of days or
just
very, very
before
soon.
the derby as well, just before the rearranged derby, that is.
It is. The rearranged derby, in case you've been sleeping under a log or something, is on the Wednesday of that week, subject obviously to Liverpool not progressing in a lower. I think it is confirmed that it's going to be on that Wednesday. Sadly, I think that means that I'm not going to be able to watch it because I went for the original one, did a 400-mile round trip for that game that wasn't. But anyway, today it's all about the Blues. It was retro day and we got back to basics, and that's what was important, with goals, an open play for a change, and a victory and 3 points to celebrate. So from Corey, from me, it's up the Toffees.
Up the Toffees is right, boys and girls. Yes, let's have it.